Merry Christmas. We've got a terrific AM Minnesota program coming your way today. Not that we don't every day, but no show tomorrow. We'll be having some hoops action for you. A couple of girls basketball games from that Hiawatha Valley League versus Three Rivers Conference showdown at the Rochester Mayo Civic Center. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll be in both venues. We'll be in the auditorium at 12:30. Kenyon Wanamingo plays Winona Cotter. A 6:45 tip-off for Goodhue tangling with Caledonia. A couple of state-ranked teams in different classes going toe-to-toe there. They both should be some very good competitive games, and we're looking forward to it in Rochester tomorrow. There'll be no show on Monday, the day after Christmas. A lot of cities, I know, observing that, and other governmental offices as a celebration of the Christmas holiday on Monday, because Christmas obviously falls on a Sunday. Jerry's Top 5 Ag Stories of 2016 will come your way on Tuesday's special hour-long edition of this show. What's new in Northfield? Northfield Chamber folks will be stopping by next Wednesday. Jerry will be filling in. I'll be flying out on Christmas Day for the Gophers in the Holiday Bowl. Then my Top 5 Sports Stories of 2016. These will be local stories. Will be aired on Thursday. And we'll have the outgoing mayor, new state senator John Jasinski, and the incoming mayor, Kevin Voracek, on our AM Minnesota show next Friday. I'll be back to host that because I think that'll be a fun show to do. Chief Andy Bohlen is with us. Mike Thul, who is the officer for the K-9 unit. Chase, right? You're the handler for
Correct.
Chase?
Yep.
How's that going, by the way?
It's going very well. We've got Chase is 4 years old now. He's really matured really nicely. He's just become a great asset for the city. So I really enjoy doing it. It's a lot of work, but he's hugely beneficial, and we appreciate having him here.
And Chief, I know at one time you were a K-9 handler, right?
Yeah, back in the mid-'90s, I had a narcotics dog, a Belgian Malinois Shepherd. I ran one for a couple years. So, yeah, it's great to have that tool here at Faribault, and great to be here this morning with you, Gordy.
Has it changed much since 95 to now, you think?
No, I think it's still, the dogs, I think, across the nation, you're seeing more specialized dogs. Obviously, in the world we're in today, you're seeing more bomb dogs and more explosive detection dogs. So there's a push and a demand, I think, for the dogs for those kinds of special tasks in the world we live in now. But we still have a strong desire for PD1 dogs that are multi-purpose dogs like Chase, where the dog can apprehend and search and sniff out narcotics, as well as single-purpose dogs, which are like narcotics, bomb, and they even have dogs, I think, that sniff out vegetables and stuff at the borders and smell certain things that the border agents might be looking for.
Now they have cadaver dogs.
Yep, search and rescue cadaver dogs. Yep, all specially trained single-purpose dogs. We're lucky, Chase, and our future dog that we're going to get, they're going to be cross-trained for narcotics as well as apprehension and searching.
Is that difficult to cross-train them? Mike, do you know?
No, everything that the dog does, everything that we teach him to do is all natural behavior. We just reinforce natural behaviors. These dogs are able to differentiate, a combination of scents altogether of something that we can't even measure. We don't know how many scents the dog can individually sniff out. So we imprint a reward onto the scents that we want him to find. So he can go into a house, smell all the different scents of that whole house, all the food that's in there, all the people that are in there, and he can also pick out, those scents that we've rewarded him for, and he'll seek those scents to seek his reward. So there kind of is no end to the search work and the smelling work that these dogs can do. It's how many things we imprint on that dog that we want him to search and find for us. But
so we'll give more details in the next segment, but bottom line here is, Chief, we're going to get another K-9 unit.
Yeah, the city has supported us to get another dog, and we're going to get another. We're on a waiting list right now. St. Paul PD has got a phenomenal, really nationally known program, and they're the ones that train Chase and Mike, and they're in the search right now to find us a matching fit for our new handler, who I can tell you about in a little bit here when we come back. But
sure.
It's great. We're excited, and we're doing a little fundraising now to try to have a little money so we can support the program for a little while.
Yes, we got a little Chase K-9 doll here on front of the camera. We'll talk about that fundraiser that's still going. People can still donate and help with the purchase of the new K-9 unit. We'll talk all about that when AM Minnesota continues.
And agronomic.
When you got Jasinski and Baracek coming next week?
Yeah. I thought that'd be fun. We'll have John do a review of that this past year, and then we'll have him do a preview of next year. It's kind of an annual thing I've always done, the mayor, the last day of the year. Started with Acton many years ago. Of course, it was easier. He was working here part-time.
383-3927. Black Fragrance Seed boosts more farm income in 2015.
All right, we've got the Faribault Police Chief. I have to be on my very best behavior today here, Andy Bohlen, and the K-9 handler of Chase. We have Mike Thul in with us. And do you want to talk about the new handler that has been chosen here, Andy?
Yeah, the handler that the PD selected is Adam Marvin. He came to us. He's a local boy that lives in the area and came to us from being an active officer with Metro Transit in the city. So he's got some good experience, and he's been an officer that's really been proactive with our department, made a lot of drug arrests, and really kind of a go-getter. So I think he'll be a perfect fit for this new dog, and we're hoping to have St. Paul PD match up a dog with Adam soon and unite those guys together just before they start their official training in March.
Now you said it's kind of interesting the way you chose your words there. You choose a dog for the handler, so not all dogs necessarily equate to being able to work with certain handlers. Or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, Mike can probably elaborate even more on that than I can, but I mean,
sure.
you kind of gotta match the personality with the handler. You know, some handlers and some dogs have different drives, and you know, one kind of dog might make another handler kind of crazy. I don't know, Mike, maybe you can elaborate on that more.
Yeah, we get the dogs through St. Paul Police, and they're the elite in the country as far as training dogs, at least around this area, and they do a really fantastic job of matching the dog's personality to the handler's personality. That we want a dog that's going to mesh up well with that personality. So we've got a very high drive officer in Officer Marvin. He is very proactive, makes a lot of drug arrests, a lot of contacts. We want a dog that's going to match that. Officer Marvin is also very level, very calm, very collected all the time, and he's going to make a great fit for a dog that maybe even is on the high end of the drive things, because the dogs just feed off of your energy. They feel that energy out of you. So when you present a very calm front to that dog, the dog feeds off of that then. So he'll be able to be a fantastic dog handler, very consistent with the dog, very level, very fair. He'll have a wonderful working dog for us.
So you're saying that he's high energy, but he's laid back.
He is. He's high. Well, he's high drive. He's always looking. He's always out looking for stuff. He's very proactive in the things that he does, but he's always calm. I've been on a whole lot of calls with Officer Marvin over the years, and Officer Marvin is one that I always look to as well. He's always calm. He's always collected, and he's always thoughtful in the things that he does. He's not impulsive. Makes great decisions, but that he's a confident, calm, level officer. So all of that is going to translate right down that leash, right down to the dog. So that dog feels what you feel right through that leash. So if you're anxious, the dog will be anxious. If you're calm, the dog is calm.
Now this dog is literally your best friend.
Sure. Yeah, he rides around with you all day. I spend more time with the dog than I spend with my kids.
Yeah.
He's with me all day, every day. We have long, strange conversations at night between the two of us, and we say as soon as he starts talking back, maybe it'll be time to look somewhere else.
Yeah. But once he retires, is the thought process to make sure he becomes part of your family permanently, or how does that work?
Yeah, once he retires, the city has the option of selling the dog, and written in our policy now is that I can purchase the dog from the city for $1. Right now, Chase belongs to the city of Faribault.
Sure.
So he's not my personal dog. He belongs to the city, belongs to everyone here. Andy offered to donate the $1 for me when Chase retires, and Chase will become then my personal dog.
Yeah, and I got a feeling that's probably where you'd like to go.
Yeah, it'll definitely happen. That's created quite a bond with him over the last 3 years, and I'll make sure once he's done working that he's well taken care of and rewarded for the rest of his time.
So, Chief, how much does having a K-9 officer benefit the department?
Oh, it's huge, Gordy. That was one of the things when I first started here in 2012 that pretty much the entire sworn force was kind of after me. We got to get a multi-purpose K-9, one that can manage some of these difficult calls that they're on. The dog's capabilities are just so much beyond what a human's capabilities are for certain things. I mean, the dog is very valuable to us when we get to a call where you get to a bar fight and there's people that want to wrestle rock with the officers, and all of a sudden the dog pulls up and they hear the dog bark, and suddenly people don't want to fight anymore. And the dog doesn't have to be really sent to apprehend people very often, because the dog, just knowing that tool is there, people really comply. The dog's great for searching. I think Mike's described it in the past to me that it might take officers hours to search a big area, and it'll take the dog a few minutes to go in because they've got the keen sense of smell. And the narcotics detection too. It's we don't have to peel through everybody's vehicle that we're looking for drugs or apartment or something. If we have a reason to be there to search for those things, the dog can sniff it out and detect it and alert to it, and we don't have to go through it by hand, which is also a risk to officers, having to dig through people's property and bags and small compartments and spaces when we have a legal reason to be looking through those things.
I know I visited with Rice County Sheriff Troy Dunn earlier this week because they have 3.
Yep, they've got
K-9s.
2 patrol dogs that are cross-trained, and then they've got 1 single-purpose dog that's narcotic trained.
And he said it's been invaluable to his department too. So.
Yeah, and we work very closely together. I know Mike trains with the county guys and the prison as well. And,
Sure.
They've got a
That's
good
right. The
working
prison's
relationship.
got some dogs too, right?
Yep, the prison has dogs that are the dual-purpose dogs, just like ours, and the 2 Rice County dogs. And Rice County's got 3 fantastic handlers that we're able to work with, and we can pick each other's brains, share ideas. We share training equipment with them as well. It's been a great resource to us, and having the prison dogs here as well has been really beneficial to be able to watch others work too, and learn from the things that they're doing.
Obviously, there's enough work for another K-9. That's why you want one, right, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll balance out our shifts, so we've got a dog on. Our officers currently work 4 days on, 4 days off, so this will allow Adam to work one rotation and Mike to work the other with their K-9 partners. And it's a valuable tool. I mean, honestly, one of the big things is PR too. The kids and people in this city love the dogs. That's always seems to be their first request for night to night.
Yeah.
The mayor might think it's his. He's the first request, but it's always the dog. So.
They want the dog.
Yeah, they want the dog at the night to night events.
Yeah, Chase is very good at those things too. He's a very, very friendly, very social dog. People tend to think of these dogs as being really aggressive, mean dogs, and it's just not the way it is anymore. The dogs are very friendly, they're very social, and they're reward-based trained. So Chase does the things that I want him to do in order to seek his reward. So he's very friendly, very social. He's very easy to be around. Our officers can bring him into the building and pet him as long as he knows that we're not working and we're not out on a call. He's very easy to be around and friendly dog.
But
when
it can make him rather.
And when his switch flips, it is like a whole different animal. Once these dogs, we call it flip into drive. Once these dogs are in drive, that they know that they're working and they have a target, they are a whole different animal. It's one that you'd look at him 5 minutes ago and you wouldn't recognize the way that he is then. So, and that also is part of the reward. The dog is seeking his reward. We've rewarded him for acting that way when we want him to. So when we give the command to do that, he acts in that way because he's been rewarded for it.
So, Mike, has the dog saved your life yet?
That he has very often let me know of things that were there that I didn't know of. He's let me know of people walking up behind us on cars. We've put him into buildings or given the warnings from outside the building of a building that we were eventually going to have to go into. Our officers and I were going to have to go in there by putting Chase in the entryway there, giving him the commands and giving our warnings into the building, the people have come out. So we didn't have to put our officers into that building or into that situation because the people gave up because Chase was there. And that's ideally what we'd like to happen every time, is that people give up when they see the dog. So that's our ultimate goal, is to get these people to give up and comply so that we can investigate what we need and that we don't have to use force against someone if we can gain compliance from them.
Yeah. In fact, I was told that most people would rather, if you stood and drew your revolver at them, it wouldn't faze them as much as the dog does.
Sure. People know there's the human element in dealing with an officer. People know that, you know, I may not be able to or be willing to do certain things, but they just don't know what that dog is going to do. And when they see him out there and he's making eye contact with them and he's in drive, you know, foaming at the mouth, ready to go, they know what that dog wants. And so they don't necessarily respect us all the time, but they do respect that dog.
You know what amazes me, Andy, and I read that, you know, your news release on the fundraiser for the new K-9 is that Paddington's here in town donates all the dog food for this. I was just saying before we hit the airwaves, that's got to be a major contribution.
Oh, they've been a great partner for our program. And, you know, the fundraiser we've got going on, we were, again, fortunate enough to get supported by the city leadership to let us pursue another dog. So ultimately, we wanted to raise enough through private donations and this fundraiser, selling these little stuffed Chase dogs, that we could have enough to continue the program for another several years. And Paddington's has been great. They've hosted a couple events out there. They've sold thousands of dollars worth of these little stuffed Chase dogs. It's kind of a replica of Chase. If you haven't seen it, you can see it obviously online for the show here. You can see it at our website and Facebook. And then another partner, Affinity Plus Credit Union, has been great to us as well. So people have gone through there and given a donation for the dogs. They're great stocking stuffers. You still got a couple days. You know, I know Santa will bring some things, but you still got some ability to snap these up either at the PD or at Affinity or Paddington's. So they've been a great partner. I don't know if you want to comment more on Paddington's. Mike.
Yeah, Deb at Paddington's has been absolutely wonderful for us right from the start. I went to her looking for a specific dog food. These dogs take a very, very high calorie, high fat diet because they're so high drive. She was able to recommend something that works just perfect, and then she said that she'd donate all of the food for it. So she donates all of Chase's food. I stop in there and sign the little slip for her, and off we go. We've tried to get as much stuff as we can from there, but they've been just great to work with. She was the first one that stepped up right away and said, "Yeah, bring those dogs down here, and we'll sell those for you." Affinity Plus has been just great about it too. They offered right away, and we wanted to keep these things local. We didn't hit any chain stores or anything like that. We wanted local businesses. We want our K-9 unit supported by local businesses, faribault businesses, to just strengthen that tie to the community.
And there's only a limited number of these dogs. We ordered 500 of them. We're probably more than halfway through them now. They got the police patch sewn on the little vest on the dog, and once they're gone, they're gone. But you know, and we've had lots of people, very generous, gracious givers, that have bought or given a donation, but said, you know what, I only have 1 or 2 kids that I need them for, but you know what, give the rest to people in need, and we've given them to families in need, and we've also been generous to little kids through our station that we run into too. So one of the things I want to mention, if I can, real quick, Gordy, is I got a couple names here with the program, and we're trying to raise some money. We want the community to be involved. So I'm going to just read off a few names we got from Paddington's. Rex, Cookie, Jackson, Banjo, Ranger, Bullet, Boomer, Duke, Max, Alex, which I kind of like because it's after Alexander Faribault, which is kind of neat. Copper, C-O-P-P-E-R, Copper, and then Sarge, and then Bart, and then my favorite from this one so far was Katja, K-O-T-J-A, Katja. which I thought that's kind of
Oh, that is
ingenious.
kinda
I don't know.
clever, isn't
it?
I should even give that name. Lori Christensen came up with that one. So pretty ingenious. So
Oh.
we're guessing we're going to have a lot of good names. Affinity's got a list of them as well. So you can submit a name if you donate or you stop in at Affinity or Paddington's or Faribault PD. You can submit a name if you want to. Even if you don't want to pick up a dog, if you want to submit a name, we'll take it. We'll put it in the box and we'll pick a good name once we find out what our dog looks like, huh, Mike?
Sure. Yeah, we've gotten some names that aren't quite as politically correct, but they've been really enjoyable for us to read.
Yeah, I'll bet.
What clearly some children have come up with has been they make for a good read.
Yeah, I'll bet they do.
Been some funny names.
So if I purchase one of these, then I can submit a name. Is that the idea?
We would let anybody submit a name either way, but
Okay.
you can purchase them at Faribault PD. You can make a donation or Affinity or Paddington's for right now until they're gone.
Until they're gone.
You know what the timeline is, Andy, and when this is all going to...
My guess is we're trying to probably run this through about January. Our goal was to raise $30,000. That puts us, that lets us fund this program for 3 to 4 years, and we'll see where we're at in 4 years from now. But ultimately, that was our fiscal goal with the city, and I think we're going to reach that. We're getting close, so probably
Yeah.
run it through at least January, and then we'll probably be done.
In visiting with the sheriff the other day, I asked him about the costs associated with the K-9 unit, and he said special car is probably your biggest expense, right?
Yeah, that's the big one, and we were able, unfortunately this year with our fleet, we've got a pretty good fleet, and some of it's relatively new, and so we were able to purchase it through a capital improvement. We bought the K-9 car, which is the big expense because they're specialty cars. This is kind of the dog's home. It has to be, it has to have the ability to stay cool on really hot days and warm when it's really cold. It has to be running for the dog, and it has to have special bailout doors if the handler gets in trouble. So that's a spendy tool, but other than that, our training is about $10,000 through St. Paul, and we've got some specialty equipment, and the handlers get a little extra to take care of the dog because it's like taking care of a family member. You have to maintain them and care for them every day and train even on your days off. So it's a program that once it's up and running is relatively cheap.
Right, and one of the things I discussed with him was that he said it's a lot less than an officer.
Absolutely.
In cost, I'm saying. They don't take personal days off or anything like that. So.
Yeah, they don't complain about a thing, do they?
No,
They just want to go to
why
work.
don't
and
they?
dog fight.
Yep, they don't complain about a thing. He just wants to be here working. He doesn't enjoy our days off. And some dog food and a vet a couple of times a year keeps him happy. So the initial costs of getting or adding a dog are substantial, but the maintaining the K-9 program and maintaining the dog is relatively cheap. That dog food, which we get donated by Paddington's, some vet care, and some reward toys. Part of this fundraiser too is that the city has supported us through adding a dog, getting us our first dog that Faribault's ever had in Chase, and the fundraising and that allows us to maybe get a couple of the things that we would really like that benefit us but aren't the absolute necessities. Gets us some of the things that'll build the dog, make the dog stronger, but aren't considered those absolute needs like the food and the vet care.
So when Chase goes out of service, I'm assuming the idea is to replace him.
Yeah, I mean, our program has been very successful so far, so my goal, as long as I'm here, is to continue it. It's been a good program. I mean, and what the listeners have to understand, too, is if you go to a big brawl in the street and you've got people that are fighting and the cops pull up, oftentimes we can holler commands, but they don't sometimes listen, do they, Mike?
No, they sure don't.
But I'm telling you, when the dog barks, believe it or not, nobody wants to fight. And what that does is it also probably saves a lot of our officers from getting injured.
Sure,
from
absolutely.
having to wrestle with people that are maybe inebriated or not so compliant, that want to listen to us. So when that dog barks, he sends a pretty loud and clear message, and I think I know that this has reduced the potential for our officers to get injured as well.
So when you're on vacation or something, I mean, you get vacation, right, Mike?
Yeah.
When you're on vacation and they need to utilize Chase, is somebody else trained to help, or is that...
No, Chase is he's a very alpha dog. These dogs are single handler dogs. Part of Chase's training and part of his confidence is that he considers himself above everyone in the world except me. So he sees me as his alpha, and me in control. He won't listen to our other officers. He doesn't really give them the time of day.
So the chief can't even give him a command.
The chief couldn't give him a command.
Well, I can give Mike a
listen.
command.
Well, yeah,
Hopefully
I know
Mike will listen.
And
Mike can tell the
I'll
dog
Chase.
to let my arm go, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's the way Chase is, the way that these dogs are. They're single handler dogs. It's that bond and that respect that create him listening to me. Without that, he's so alpha. If he was allowed to make his own decisions, we could be in for a ride.
So then you ask the sheriff's office for assistance?
Yeah, that's
in
the
that
beauty
case?
of this. I mean, our community, we have very, very good working relationship with Sheriff Dunn and his crew, and they train together. So if one handler's not available, we can assist if the county needs help, and it'll be great. Now we'll have Adam or Mike available. So, and then if they're not available, again, they've got 2 handlers too that are multi-purpose dogs, and then 1 single-purpose dog, and they're more than willing to help us out too. So they did a lot of the lifting, I think, before we started our program, because much of the call load is centered in our city.
Yep.
And it's a good working relationship. So yeah, we have no problem working well with each other.
Well, that's fantastic. So it's been a resounding success then, right, Mike?
It sure has. Yeah, Chase has done great things for us. He's a great dog to start this program out. Being that he's the first dog here, he's worked very, very well for us. Accomplished all the goals that we want him to, and he's only 4 years old, so we have a lot of time still to continue this and keep him working for the city, keep him out fighting crime and making things easier for the rest of us that work with him.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike, for all that work, because I know it's a lot of hard work. You have to do a lot of training in between the formal training, right?
Right. Yeah, we're required by our certification to maintain at least 16 hours of training per month. We try to roughly double that. We try to get an hour of training in a day, even if it's something as simple obedience. By building that obedience and building him doing what I want him to do. But we got to keep these dogs guessing too, because they'll cheat every chance they get. The dog can't know the goal. The dog can't know the outcome.
And then where can I get these dolls again, Andy?
Well, I don't know if he wants to be called a doll. It's probably an action figure or a stuffed toy. I don't know what
Yeah.
you think, Mike.
Oh,
Paddington's
superhero.
Not a doll.
Paddington's Feed and Seed, Affinity Plus Credit Union, and then we've got him at Faribault PD at the front window.
Action figure. So it
I
barks?
don't know. Doesn't bark.
Next one you're going to get, you can bark, right? You press a button and it'll bark.
You could bark for him.
Yeah, well, okay. Thanks for coming on, guys. Have
Thank
a
you,
Merry
Gordy.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry
And
Christmas.
Wish Chase a Merry Christmas for me, will you?
I sure will.
As I said on a posting promoting today's show, I hope I'm never in the jaws of Chase.
Good advice.
Thank you, Gordy, and if I may, I wish everybody a safe and happy holiday.
Yeah, you bet. All right, everyone. That concludes today's edition of AM Minnesota. We will not have a program tomorrow, so have yourselves a very Merry Christmas. KDHL AM Faribault, Minnesota. We join ABC News in progress.